We're snorting cap rates and shooting up cash flow here at Deal Junkies. Welcome back to Deal Junkies. You're the Deal Junkies listening to us. Dane got fired from hosting.
I had a good episode, though.
It was a great episode.
Thanks, guys.
So we'll see. If we get positive feedback on Dane kicking us off.
Ooh, there's a poll. Do you want Dane or Gabe?
Yeah.
That's so not fair, though. We're creatures of habit. They've had 50 episodes.
They said they like you.
No,
you're
we're
more
humans.
you're more broy.
We like change. They got recency effect.
Okay, so we're gonna do a quick episode here. We're gonna talk about something. We're gonna talk about a deal. But first, guys, yesterday somebody walked into my office and they served me a lawsuit. This is never a good day. When you do a lot of business, you sometimes get sued. It happens. And we opened it up and I looked at it and I didn't recognize any of the names in it. And I said, "What is this?" And somehow I became the registered agent for some huge company in New York that owns real estate all over the country, including Lake Oswego, and they have a big project there, and some tenant is suing them, and it landed on my desk. I want to know, how do you can anybody just add anybody as their registered agent? So
Yes. I heard about this
because it's online registry.
I heard about this being a problem. So I heard a story of a guy in Florida. It was a problem in their system. You could just do whatever. They made themselves the registered agent of some other LLC and then sold all their real estate.
Ooh.
No, that
Or
a
something.
registered agent cannot.
Or whatever.
They committed fraud somewhere in there.
Oh, no,
But you
fraud.
could do it.
Fraud.
You could have done it.
Well, and to clarify, like in Oregon, you have to log in. Like you have to give credentials to change your registration.
I sent it to my attorney. He says, well, first off, he goes, a registered agent, all it means is that they have to prove they served somebody.
Yes.
And now you just need to pass it on to everybody else. And I said, no, you don't understand what I'm saying. Like, I don't know these guys. Yeah. He's like, as the registered agent, here are your duties. And I'm like, no. I don't want to be the
I'm
registered
not that guy.
Yeah. I don't want to be the
I
registered
didn't sign up
agent.
for this.
Did they have the wrong Gabe Johansson?
No,
dude,
it's his Kaiser address.
It's me, my name,
It's
my
the
address.
office
But it should have been a different Gabe Johansson, and someone internally just like
Pulled the wrong address?
Yeah, and they just pulled
could
you.
have.
The fact that they sent it to the largest
I know,
property
that's what's so
management
funny.
company in the valley, though.
And the fact they own real estate
That is
not far
But the
Seems a
wild
little
thing
sketch,
is,
doesn't it?
they're
I
a
mean-
syndication that owns a lot of deals.
I kind of
It's a fund.
I kind of want to put it on my resume now.
You should.
I'm the registered
agent.
Their address is like
100 Park Avenue.
yeah, it's like one of the best.
Well, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Registered agent's a shit job. Like you don't want that. There's no value.
I'm the registered.
I just want to say I'm part of the
Some
team. These guys are like a
responsibility.
multi-billion-dollar company. I
Yeah.
think these are huge.
Oh, you're the guy who wants to own 1% of a syndication.
I just
Say you
want-
own 1,000 units.
I just
Yeah.
want to be a part of
I'm
it.
just part of this cool
I just
team.
want
So
to be included.
what do you do? How do you solve? Do you contact them and you're like, hey guys, we got served a notice here?
I don't do anything. I send it to the attorney. They'll take care of it.
Who actually? You said who served you these papers?
Uh,
UPS guy or like an
no.
actual
This is like
person?
somebody, and that's the other weird thing about it is when they serve you, aren't you supposed to be there? I wasn't even in the office, and they gave it to Lisa in our
No
office,
way.
and they're like, "When is Gabe going to be here?" And she's like, "I don't know." And they're like, "We're serving him these papers. When will he be back?" She's like, "I don't know." And they're like, "Here,
Yeah.
you're served." It's like, no,
No.
I wasn't served. I wasn't even there.
I'm not the agent. And you didn't even serve it to me. Give me my papers.
That's a bad. What do you call that? A
That's
processor, a serving.
That's
processor?
so. That's just a false thing that we think of. I found out that you don't have to be there because my ex.
Oh, they can just deliver it to your address.
when I was out of town. So that way
Really?
an employee would be served.
Really?
Okay. Well,
Let's move on. We're going to talk about a deal. What deal are we going to talk about?
Okay, so we want to see what Mike thinks of this deal as a developer. So, Dane, you want to talk about the deal?
Yeah, I probably know more about it. We have a new construction development, Mike's favorite, that we're doing up in Seaside, Oregon.
Long time frames, big pockets.
Big pockets, and we do have a long time frame. Yep. I'm not really. I helped on the long time frame. It is an acquisition of land that will be fully permitted. It's cleared already. There used to be a building on it. We've got all the environmentals cleared. Got that back 2 weeks ago. I don't think we're even doing an appraisal on it because the lender doesn't need it. But Trevor is our appraiser, and so value is there at the end.
Why does the lender not need an appraisal?
Gabe knows him better than I do.
On the dirt?
Yeah.
Oh, this is just the dirt part of it.
Yeah,
okay.
and they didn't even have an appraiser or an appraisal for like in.
Are you
value.
buying the dirt before you get
Our lender is a private family office that
Okay.
we're doing another deal with right now, and they're just like, hey, we'd love. They have 38 projects going, and there are only 2 that are ahead of schedule, and ours is one of those.
Gotcha.
And the other one is like one of the biggest players in Oregon, and so we're like star pupil right now, and we're like, hey, we want to do another deal, rinse and repeat. They're like, rock and roll. Let's do
And
it.
this is such a great example of like with syndications or lenders and family offices, the deal doesn't fucking matter. It is not about the deal, it's about the operator. And so they know you're an operator. We don't care about the deal. We're just going to fund it. Okay, so you don't need an
like
appraisal.
good partners?
Are you buying the dirt before you break ground? Like how does?
We are closing on the dirt and then breaking ground immediately.
Okay.
Yeah. So
You've got a distressed seller with a mostly entitled property that now you can come in and save the day, and then you get to walk into an entitled project,
I
which
believe
takes
we've
all
already,
the risk out of it.
We've taken it to permits already, haven't we?
Yeah, we'll have full entitlements and permits at close.
Which so
is
you've
great.
taken 18 months of risk
Mm-hmm.
and holding costs out of the project. Love that.
And
And that's the opportunity to be looking for as a developer right now. There's no reason to go buy land. Go look at all the permits that are not getting pulled. By
Yeah, somebody else went and spent $200,000 to $400,000 to get it entitled.
yeah.
It adds value to the land.
Yep.
And the reason it adds value is, number one, you don't have to take on the brain damage to do it. But like you said, the timeline you take out, that's one of, I think, the most risky part of development is the timelines are so long. There's no way to know where the market's going to be, where, what new projects are going to be delivered. Like it gets really murky to see that crystal ball after a couple of years to kind of know where the economy is going to go, where delivery is going to go. So
you have to understand context of demographics to plan out correctly.
I wanted to talk about this deal specifically because you made the comment last night when we were at dinner that no one is developing apartments right now, and you can't be done, blah, blah. And then I thought, oh, I'm going into my first apartment development.
So
talk about this.
So let's add
more.
add context to the statement. So we were talking in context of cottage clusters, and so my comment was on the front end, builders just need to build. And we think of it as, well, builders build to what they can sell. No, builders build to what they can borrow. And right now, the builders that have been building those 12 to 20 unit apartment complexes can't get funding for those projects to go buy land and get construction. But they want to build and they need to build. They can get funding for cottage clusters. And so you have money going out of the front end of the apartment world into cottage clusters because lending's there. The other side of the equation, yours is different, right? Because you have an entitled project. That timeline's gone. And so
that was our whole point of the conversation.
Yes.
Was that part. That's the part that can either be like 6 months in the right place or 5 years in the wrong place.
Yeah. And that's why I just said you want to be buying raw land right now, because there's entitled projects or projects that are close to entitlement that the owners cannot take them past that line. That's what you want to buy because the risk is gone. And so what you have is now a building. It's not a development project.
It's a
Gabe,
construction
the
project.
land's worth more once you get it entitled. So the reason you like developments is there's 2 phases of forced appreciation.
Equity pop.
Yes, you get forced appreciation. You create equity just by the soft side of managing vendors to entitle the land. And then you get the final appreciation by building out the improvements. And so now what you can do is you can buy an appreciated piece of land with the terms that you need to get that last piece of appreciation by doing what? Executing on the business model.
Dane brought up a great point in his presentation the other evening at the SRE when he said that if you're gonna succeed, you have to have a competitive advantage. And I think that in this deal, one of our competitive advantages are we have a partner in Mark who is from the Seaside Astoria area, which is it's a North Coast project that we're working on. We have already done a loan up there on the other project that I'm doing, and so we have a lender in a market where there's not a lot of liquidity. It's very hard to raise debt on a new development project, especially in a small area like the North Coast. And so this is sort of a rinse and repeat. And so we've got we've got the builder, we've got the subs, we've got the lender. We had a connection with the seller group already. So there's just a lot of things that lined up to where this deal may not on the open market look like the slam dunk that it is to us.
Yep. Remember when we were talking about your Astoria deal, and I was like, at the end of the day, ultimately, Mark would have been the person to solve that problem because where he's from and he has the resources and he can solve that problem. That's exactly kind of what this is, where it's not a deal to anyone else, but with your the team that you just outlined, it lines up perfectly for what you want to do.
So let's see if it makes sense. So to give you the high level.
Yeah, Performa.
So we're buying the dirt for 1.575.
Yeah.
1.575 mil.
Get my calculator.
Yeah.
It's 66 units.
It's 66 units, all in project cost with carried interest about 13.5, and then worth about.
Let's just go back to the land.
1.575. So that's like 25 a door or something like that.
23,863 a door. Excellent per unit price, but like that's a really good raw dirt price that you now take
for entitled dirt.
Yeah, so now you have 18 months of holding cost out of it, $400,000 in soft cost out of it. So you're getting that for free on top of a good dirt deal.
Because you like to see unentitled land be at what per door when you're on the front end?
Like I'm not the right person to ask that question to because I don't do it on scale.
15K.
Yeah, 15,
I was gonna
20K.
say, there's
probably.
dudes. The guys that are doing it at the biggest scale are at 5 to 8K.
Well,
we got
in this
down.
market.
I'm saying
you got to buy
saying
pretty
even-
big pieces.
Yeah.
You got
to
pretty,
clarify,
you got
Yeah.
up to like 60, 70, 80K.
Yeah, if we're on the fewer the units, the more expensive it is per door.
1 to 3 acres is probably 20 to 25K.
Yeah.
Unentitled.
Unentitled, and
You
then
get into like you start buying 6 to 10 acres, and now it starts to change because you might have some land. If you're going to develop a project that big, or there might be some land that's undevelopable, that number starts to change.
Yeah.
Well,
and then that
one
should also
thing
be,
goes wrong in your whole market. I mean, so the bigger the project,
and this matters nothing from a context standpoint until you get into the land. And what does the land physically allow you to do? What does it restrain you to do? What does it make easy? What does it make difficult?
You know what's funny, Mike?
Legally, yeah.
permissible.
So highest and best use. What's legally permissible? Forget that matters, but physically possible is so key.
And financially feasible.
And then you can get into financially feasible.
So,
But you've already got legally permissible and physically possible done on someone else's dime.
Yeah, and then Trevor will tell you how it's financially feasible. But one thing you talk about is land banking. It's interesting. When I got into real estate, my mentor told me, because I thought, well, the only thing they're not making more of is land. I felt like it was very constricted. There's only so much we can develop on, and so on and so forth. And what he told me was that what happens is in land that you got to be careful with is as the cost of construction goes up, depending on what market you're in, the land will actually not go up in value, or it'll go down in value because it's the last thing that can get squeezed. Because you go like, well,
It's the first thing that can get
the first thing. Thank you. So it's, the cost to build these units has gone up, or the rents have flattened, or whatever metric you're looking at to go like, this doesn't pencil. The first thing you go to is, well, that dirt is no longer 25 a door, now it's 15 a door, or whatever, and you try to squeeze it out of the door, which I thought is kind of weird, because usually the dirt, especially when I first started, I was selling these things for $300,000 to $500,000. I mean, it's like you're gonna not do that multi-million-dollar project because you couldn't get it for $400,000. They wanted $500,000. Seems like
stupid.
It seems like we're splitting hairs. But at the end of the day, the numbers are the numbers. It's only going to work if you can buy the land for whatever you can buy.
Yeah, and so they call it the plug cost. That's the last thing that you plug in, and it's the one thing that you can adjust by the seller, because everything else is market driven. And so now it's like, well, this is just what's left over for you. And so in a hot market, what's left over is a lot. And so that's where in a hot market, land appreciates and gets to its most expensive price. And then all the nice homes around it gets to their most expensive price. And then in a down market, land drops like a skyrocket. And so maybe the housing doesn't drop as much because there's a house there and there's improvements and they provide value, but the land drops like a rock.
So the land is a more volatile asset type.
Yep.
Kind of like
Absolutely.
smallplex. I feel the same way about smallplex, but
yeah, they are.
We won't get into that.
Okay. Finish off the high level for you.
Financial feasibility.
66 units, average rent of it's mix of 2s and 1s.
Mm-hmm.
Average rent of about $1,800, $1,788 or something like that across the 2s and 1s. $13.5 million all in project cost, equity plus interest reserves and everything. And then by year 3, worth around $18 million to 72-ish a door.
Year 3 from today, or year 3 from when it stabilized?
From when it starts. So 2 months out, 3 months.
From when the project starts?
Yeah, 3 years after the fact. So
3 years from the day we break ground.
Yeah.
You've got a how much? $5 million,
$18 million value.
$18 million off a $13 million build.
$5 million
yeah.
spread.
So you have almost a $5 million
Yeah.
4.5,
profit.
yeah.
$4.5 million.
Yeah. So again, time, right? So how you structure the debt, the valuation doesn't really matter. What I do love is the fact that you're